Okay, take two. Okay, so I moved the camera and it kind of like logged off. So this is our black canvas. It's 8 by 10. We're going to work with the color green today. And I chose a black canvas because I wanted it to be kind of like a night scene. So with a lot of greenery. And the one color I am missing, which I've got to get out of here, is unfortunately, yes, I'm going to use a little bit of brown. So let me get my brown paint. We're out of here. Which is, all right, kitty cats, what you doing with my paint? I swear my cats move stuff around on me. There it is, over there. Let's put that over that way. Initially, I was just going to do green, but you can't do rocks with just green. You gotta have some brown. So I'm going to have some burnt sienna for some of the rocks. I'm going to have some Van Dyke brown, which is a darker brown. And I think that's the only browns that I really need. I don't really need yellow because the white will bring out the yellow in the brown. So we can get started with it. Now, this is not oil paint, this is acrylic. So if I want to extend my acrylic paint, drawing... Are you shitting me? Oh, God. Where is my camera? There it is. I don't know what happened there. But anyway, to extend the life of the paint, I use what's called a slow dry blending gel medium. It's really inexpensive, and it's just to help the acrylic paint from drying too fast, because it being water-based, it will dry faster than, say, an oil paint. So I've got that handy. I'm opening up my clean and my dirty water palettes. And what I'm going to do is, since I'm using the greens, I'm going to put a layer of, and this is going to be really quick, a layer of the green, kind of like a greenish kind of sky, but it's going to be the dark green. So I'm going to use the sap green. I'm going to put that in my little makeshift palette. I took a plastic tray, and this works really well, by the way, without having to buy a palette. And take that and mix some of the blending gel with your paint, with your acrylic paint. It doesn't really change the color so much, but it does change the drying time for it. Now, because I'm using acrylic, it does work up pretty quick. So I'm taking my 2-inch brush. It's just a craft brush, it's nothing fancy. And I'm going to mix the green along with that blending gel. And I'm going to put it right across the whole part of this. And you'll see why in a minute. Okay, I'm going to do it like this. Now, if you never noticed that sometimes, add a little bit of, not too much, just a tad of water, that at nighttime, a lot of times, the sky has these all weird kind of shades of different colors anyway. So we're going to do it. I got that all over my mouse. Look at that. And just kind of put it on there, put it back and forth. And this is kind of an experiment because I've never done it this way before. And then I'm going to take my 1-inch brush. And I should have put my paint out ahead of time, but I didn't, because I don't like to waste paint, so I do it as I go. So I'm going to put a little bit of this white. I'm going to take the white, I'm going to make a moon in here. So I'm going to take the white, I'm just going to stomp it with this 1-inch brush. Load it up, load it up. And I'm going to put that moon right here. Okay, and then I'm going to swirl it. Okay, this brush is kind of coarse, and that's okay. So I'm going to take and put some indication of some kind of, clouds back here. And then I'm going to take a softer brush, which is more of the vernacular of, for say, watercolor. Add a little water to the brush, okay, and I'm going to swirl this. I am going to swirl this white in there. Now this is just my perception of using just greens. And do that on the other side where I had the other cloud looking thing. Just like that. And then we're in the moon. I'm going to go around the moon with a soft bristle. And you can probably see my cat getting in the shot. Hello, sweetums. Okay. And then to soften this out, to soften this moon out, I'm going to take and dry off the brush on some just on some paper towels, okay? And I'm going to dry it off, and I'm going to come across the moon this way. Okay? I'm just going to come across it just to soften it out a little bit. And for the clouds, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to come across and kind of soften them out. And maybe even drag them across, just a little bit across the moon, so you get that indication of a green glow on that moon. See how that goes? And then on the other side, dry off the paint and do the same thing, but come across this way. Okay? We want this kind of mysterious looking kind of effect. It makes it really, and you can pull it up, fluff it up if you want. And then across. You can do whatever you want. I like to come up and then come across. Just a little bit. So it's kind of a greenish sky. So, but then you have your moon. Okay, so there's a water source down there that's going to be showing off that moon. So when not clean your brush, just go ahead and make the moon a reflection down below in that black canvas. And then from that, you're going to take some more of the green and just darken it up around. Just do circles. Just do circles all around. There's no rhyme or reason to it. You just kind of do it. And you take whatever is left of your green in your palette, and you're going to take it and just go around and around and around. And this is going to give you the backdrop for your silhouette. This is a silhouette type painting. And then, once you get about 2/3 of the way down, because this is acrylic, that's why I'm doing it this way instead of with oils. You could do the whole bottom part. I'm doing it this way. So then we're going to take that same brush. Now it's kind of dry. We're going to drag it across. Drag it right across, back and forth, and add just a touch. I mean a literal tiny touch of water. Just enough to smooth it out. Just enough to liquefy just a little bit and pull that across nice and even, just like this. Okay? You're going to add a little bit more white with a little bit of water. Do it in the palette there. So you got this pale green kind of color, and you're going to go across just like this. Okay? You're going to go all the way down, until you have no more paint left. Okay? No more paint left. Just like this. And you're going to keep doing that because you're on a black canvas. That make a little bit of water, more of that sap green, and you're going to go in there and do like zigzag. That green in there, because this is a reflection off the greenery that we're going to put in here. Okay, so we're going to go across there and make sure that's even. Yeah. Okay. Now, of course, as we get to the foreground, it's going to be more dark. So I want to make sure that that moon shows up. So I made it real white. And now I'm going to tone it down to make it more watercolored. Color of the water. Okay? But that moon is going to shine down in that water so bright. So we're going to make the moon a little bit brighter. Just like this. Okay? Just like this. And that moon is really popping out there. So now it's reflecting into the water to the point where now it's going to trickle down, and there's not going to be a whole lot of that white going on, but we have the green. Okay, a little bit of a, I call it the trickle effect of light, like that. A little bit more white in the center, and now we have the moon glowing into the water. The water, yeah, granted it's kind of greenish, but you know what? Not all water is blue, is it? Okay, so we're going to go across here and make our skyline. Now, this is where we get into the highlighting of the greenish clouds. We want that moon is glowing. So out here on the outside of these clouds, it's going to be really going to have some white, bright highlights. So we want to show that off. No, yes, we do. And it's going to be like this. And we're going to take some white and it's going to go over here, because that moon is really going to be reflecting the sun's light from the other side of the earth. And then we're going to take and tone it down just a little with some of the green. Okay, we're going to do the same thing over here, because the back end of that cloud is not going to be as bright as the part that's showing towards the moon. You can use a fan brush to do this. I like to use the very tip edge, and that way it seems like boom, you know, it's just like kind of pops. And then of course you have these little indentations in the clouds for other layers, and you want to do that on both sides. I know it's like, wow, well, there's that pop of white in those clouds. Now, to make your foreground, you want to have a little bit more of the dark green, which is your sap green. We're going to take the sap green, and we're going to take that sap green, and we're just going to play like we have some kind of shoreline, okay? So you want to use it kind of just flat. You just kind of put it flat. And I'm going to show you how the rocks play in a minute. But you want some of that dark to show through. You don't want it to totally be covered up. And you can incorporate more black into it, but this shows some highlighting on the grassy area. So I'm going to take some more of this dark green, and of course, as close as you get closer, your green is going to be darker. Okay, your green is definitely going to be darker. Okay, so we want to make sure that we don't lose any of that green depth, because the dark part is your depth and the light part is your highlighting. Okay, there's not really going to be, I might put a tree in here, I don't know, we'll see what goes. And then of course here I see more dark, so I'm going to make this so that the landscape comes out more and the water goes in. Okay, so this greenish water is going to go in. This is going to be the darker side. This is going to be where the moon is shining. It's going to shine over on this section a lot more than, say, any other portion of it. Then we go up. Okay, so you don't see any rocks yet. We're going to put these rocks in the foreground. So I'm going to take this green and white. I have not cleaned this brush. As you've noticed, I've just added color to it. And when you're closer to the moon section, you're going to have more of the lighter highlight. And so I've got a little bit more of the white there. I'm going to go ahead and do this highlighting on the grass right here. Now this is impressionistic. In other words, it doesn't have to be realistic. It just has to give you the impression like, oh yeah, the moon is shining right on that part of the grass. And it is. It's shining right on those two banks, just like that. Okay? So in order to make those banks come alive, you want to have a deep green pulling down. And this is all I'm doing. I've loaded my brush and I've just pulled down from where I'm making a shoreline, so to speak. And just pull it down and then lightly come across so that it looks like water. Okay, so we're going to do that over here. I'm going to come down So there's going to be dark spots in that water. There's going to be light spots. And you take it lightly and pull it across. Okay? And we're going to do the same thing down here. We're going to have just a little spot here where it comes across. Alright. We are on the roll. I need a little bit more dark here because I want to show a shoreline. When you want to show a shoreline, you want a dark spot and then you want to highlight it. So we're going to do that on both sides. Right here. So it looks like the grass is reflected into the water. This is going to be rocks down here, so we're not going to play with that just yet. And give some more depth to these guys. And you can put sticks in here for purposes of making it look like there's bushes and whatnot. But you don't have to. And this is your painting. You can do whatever you want with it. Okay, so that is showing off this up above. So we've got that part. Now we want to do a little shoreline. So from my 1-inch brush, I'm going to take a smaller, it's basically a 1/4-inch square tip brush, and I need some more white. And I know I utilize that black pretty darn well for the background. And take the little bit of white, load it on both sides. Both sides of your brush are loaded. And what you want to do is you want to go and create a shoreline or a break in the actual water, where the water actually is flowing. You always want to make sure that your lines are straight. Okay, so we're going to do that there. And you're like, well, not everything's green. It's like, no, it's okay. It doesn't matter. It is all your perception. Okay? So we're going to make this water line kind of come in and come back out. And see how that goes? You just keep putting a little bit of white. Comes back out. And then it comes and it outlines the area that is coming up to meet the water. Just like that. You can add brown to it if you want. You don't need to. Okay, so this is just coming in and doing its thing. It's like making a watery area. This is the same thing when you do a beach scene. If you want ripples in the water, this is how you do it. Okay, so we're going to fix this because this is a reflection. I'm going to put a little bit more of an outline of where that water comes to here. Okay. And we're going to take this and do the same thing on our horizon. We want that to show a separation. This is a lake area. This is not the ocean. But you want it to show that it has movement. This is the movement that we're trying to indicate. You just turn your brush around, grab some more white, and put it there. And this is where you start to do, when you want to do rocks. So let's do some rocks. Even though it's not green, we're going to do some rocks. So I'm going to take some burnt sienna, just a tad, a tiny little squirt of it. This is with acrylics. You don't want to put all your paint out there like at one shot because Lord knows it, it could get wasted and you don't want to waste it. So the key with rocks is you want to put in the dark part of them and then the light part. So for this, or just put paint on my nose, I think. Anyway, I'm going to take the burnt sienna. Is it burnt sienna? No, this is the Van Dyke Brown. The Van Dyke Brown, and I'm going to put myself some rocks down here. And I'm not doing anything fancy. I'm just making little circles to make kind of like a rock shape. Just like this. So we're going to say like this pond ends at this rocky edge. So, and I'm mixing in the white and the green that's already there. And I'm doing some dark brown to come across to make a little rocky edge. We're just framing it out. It's framing out. It's kind of like when you do photography and you want to frame something out, you frame it out with something nice. And this one's going to be nice and dark. And we'll highlight it because we have a shiny moon up there. Don't forget the shiny moon. Go over to this edge. It doesn't have to be any specific shape. Just put the idea of rocks in there. Okay, and then you see here's the reflection in the water from the shore or the land line or whatever you want to call it above. This one really doesn't have one, but this one does. So with that respect, I'm going to take a little bit of burnt sienna, okay, and add a little bit of white to it so that the white is the water and then that's the dirt, okay? That's the dirt above it, okay? We're going to do the same thing over here. We want to show a little bit of the soil. I mean, the grass doesn't grow just on the water, it does grow on dirt. We're going to put a little bit of that in there, just a touch, just enough to show, yeah, oh yeah, this guy's growing the dirt, okay? I'm going to do this little guy. Now this is number 3 in my rainbow series. I've done red and blue, and now we are doing green. Okay?
You've got mail.
So we've got these guys going to where you can kind of see that this is the rock part of it. Now we're going to lighten these rocks up just on the tops because the moon's going to striking up here, right? So taking a little bit of that burnt sienna on top. You can change the shape of your rocks if you want. And I can even put one in the water. Like this. Just put one right here. Okay, let's put one here too. Why not? Let's put one right there. And they're kind of sitting in there. And then take the dark Van Dyke brown and make it the back side of it. Because that's the part that's not getting any of the moonlight. Okay? And then, oh, we can put a little one here. Let's just for the heck of it. Let's put a third one here. Okay? Now, this is where you want to take some white. You notice I haven't added any more of the blending medium because it's not necessary. I mean, you can if you want to really play with it, but the trick with a painting like this is knowing when to stop. So I'm going to take a little bit of the white with the brown that's already in there, and I'm going to highlight these little guys just on the top where the moon has touched them. It's like the moon has kissed the rocks. Okay, so the moon has kissed the rocks right on top. Okay, and then even down here. And even though it's a little more subdued, I have not cleaned the brush, but you can see where there is a touch of highlighting from the moonlight above. Like this. And we're going to do it on those just like that. It gives it a nice three-dimensional look. Makes them look really marbled. Okay? And then if you want to put some little pebbles, I take some white and some of the burnt sienna and a little bit of the Van Dyke brown. And what I do is I pepper it right here. So it kind of like leads up to. Okay? So you can pepper. I call it peppering. I don't know what anybody else calls it, but I call it peppering the shoreline. Okay? And I'm going to go like this to the other side and this side. Now, this is almost done. Honestly, this is basically almost done. And all you need to do at this point is just give you some wispy kind of, I don't know, brush is kind of dry. It's the full paint. It's a little 1/4 inch. And you're just going to go, just pull it, kind of like touch and pull. Touch and pull. Touch and pull. Just at the water's edge. Just to show that there is some greenery that's reaching out for the water. Just like this. Now if you want to put a tree in, you can. I like it just like this, but if I was going to put a tree, it would have to be here. And I'm going to use that sap green and bring it up. You have some of that reaching up grass. Have that tree come up into the dark. And then as far as leaves and that sort of thing, it's just gonna just pepper it through the brown with the green, and it, you know, it gives the impression that there's branches in there, just like this, just a little guy. And to lighten up that green, add a little bit of white. I just want to have that reflection from the moon, and you're just literally tapping it in so that you can see the brown beneath. And then take some of that brown, the darker brown, which is your Van Dyke brown on the back side, and the sienna, raw sienna on the front side. Throw a branch in there somewhere, and from the moon glowing onto it, just on the outside leaves, and then make the rest of them dark. See how you can do this with just a couple of colors? And it doesn't have to be specific. When you want to highlight this with a moon glow, just pull a light green across it. And then make your grass at the base of your tree. And that is good to go. And that's all you really need to do. And then you end up with this beautiful green and black and rock kind of scene. Give it a try. It's a beautiful way to practice.